Okay, happy Friday Eve day to everybody. Give me 1 second. I am just going to make sure we are live in the places we are supposed to be live. 1 second. Okay, awesome. I see us live in the group. Happy Friday Eve day to everybody. You guys know how I do this every single week. We've got Facebook and YouTube right here on my laptop because I'm using StreamYard. If you are coming to me through Facebook, please go to streamyard.com/Facebook. StreamYard is all one word.com/Facebook and give permission for Amy and I to see your name on my StreamYard dashboard when you make a comment that you're here. Otherwise, it just says Facebook user, and that is not any fun at all. So streamyard.com/Facebook. Okay, my friends, you are in for a real treat today. My friend, my student, Amy Pearl, is in the house, and she is going to share her entrepreneurial journey with us. And you guys know I love these conversations, and I know you love these conversations too because you tell me you do. Because these conversations we have about entrepreneurial journeys help normalize the roller coaster and bring some honesty and some transparency to the online business space. I was just having this conversation yesterday with a gal that interviewed me about the fact that I was able to completely ditch my corporate job and build this business with success, and how much this space can lack honesty and transparency. And so I firmly believe having more of these conversations is going to be great for all of us. But just in case we've never met before, and this is the first time you've ever seen me, I am Tracy Beavers. I am an award-winning business and sales coach with over 20 years of experience in marketing, sales, and business growth. And several years ago, as I mentioned, I became completely fed up with corporate America, and I hatched a plan to fully exit. And once I did, my business boomed. And back in my second full year of business as a business coach, I busted through the six-figure ceiling, and I have not looked back. And I share that with you because if you are building a business alongside your full-time job and you want to fully exit, or maybe you're already a solopreneur and you're wanting to hit that six-figure mark, you can do this. You can build a multi-six-figure business. It can happen for you. I have coached hundreds of entrepreneurs just like you to get visible and grow your email lists so you can get that consistent monthly income you desire. Pop your questions and comments into the chat for us as we go along. Amy and I are open books, and we're happy to answer anything. And if you're watching on replay and you have a question for me or Amy, pop that into the comments. We will be happy to answer it. I want to introduce you guys to my student, my friend, Amy Pearl. Amy cracks me up because she calls herself an obsessive planner and number cruncher who's addicted to being busy. And I can relate to that. Not the numbers part, but the planning and the addicted to being busy part. And she says she has a reputation as a no-nonsense, yet fun-loving coach. And I think that kind of describes me too. I've been told that as well. And facilitator. She is an outstanding facilitator who asks thought-provoking questions, and she helps people get to their actionable ideas. Ideas that they can really, really take action on. This is what has made her so successful. She's got two sides to her business. One is B2B, business to business, and one is B2C, which is business to consumer. In her B2B business, say that 5 times fast. In her B2B business, she and her team deliver assessment and learning solutions for Fortune 100 companies and helping corporate leaders be their very best, retain their talent that they've worked so hard to hire, and then maximize their revenue. And in her B2C business, she teaches course creators and coaches like us to build their own B2B businesses. So I'm really excited to hear from her. Amy, is there anything you want to add to what I just said?
No, that sounded amazing. I feel so special.
Isn't it funny when people introduce us? I kind of want to look around and go, who's that girl they're talking about?
Who they're even talking about, right?
I think it's a great reminder, though, of how fabulous you are. You know what I mean? I don't think we ever take enough time to reflect on what we've accomplished. And you have accomplished so much. So let's get right to it because I know people cannot wait to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm happy to share. I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you for doing this. So give us a little deeper dive, though. I know I just introduced you and I talked about the B2B and the B2C. If you could give us a little bit deeper dive on your history, how you got here, who you serve, how you serve them.
Yes, yes, yes. I'd be happy to. So, like you, I was working in corporate America ages ago.
Yes.
What a lot of people don't know is I've actually been in business. This will be my 25th year.
Wow.
So, you know, I started my business, I think, before social media even existed. So when people get all hung up in like, I can't get anyone to follow me on Instagram, it's like, neither can I. And I've been doing this for 25 years, right?
I love that.
So I was working in corporate America. My son was 2 years old.
Uh-huh.
I was dropping him off at daycare at like 7 in the morning and racing to pick him up by like 6 o'clock at night. And I
Mhm.
thought, this is just no way to live. It's not fair to him. I just didn't feel like I was doing the right thing for my family. And
Mhm.
I had a great, great job. So it was really hard to leave. I worked
Yeah.
for a big bank. The bank was growing. I had all kinds of opportunities to do things that I don't think anybody would ever have a job like I had back
Yeah.
then. But you just have to set your priorities.
Mhm.
So I left the bank to start my own business.
Hey.
I just had no clue what I was really going to do.
I
So, which was really, and so it's funny because like people are looking at me like, oh my God, you're leaving this great job. You don't have a customer. You don't even have a business. What are you
Uh-huh.
doing?
Right.
But I had some ideas about what I wanted to do based on what I had done at the bank. I loved doing training. I'd never been like in HR. I was always in either a sales, a marketing, a tech job, kind of those sorts of things. But I loved training people. So I said, I'm just gonna like launch a training business. I didn't even know really what I was going to teach people to do. But
Right.
I just started networking in my community to meet people, to meet companies and decision makers in companies to
Mhm.
figure out their needs. And then it just sort of evolved. And what I learned is that I really love working with leaders, high potential leaders, senior leaders, and
Mhm.
helping them to be the best that they can be. And over
Right.
the years, I discovered different kinds of assessment tools. Like some
Mhm.
of your listeners probably have done DISC or Myers-Briggs or taken 360-degree feedback. So I just started using those, and that just really helped my business to grow. And
Yeah.
that's what I've done for years and years and years. But then with COVID,
Mhm.
everything came to like a screeching halt because
Yeah.
all of the training and coaching that I did prior to that was 100% in person. I didn't
Right.
have a camera. I didn't own a microphone. I had no idea what Zoom was. Like I just got in my car, got on an airplane and went, or if
Right.
I was coaching someone, they would come to me. It was all in person.
Right.
So literally I went from billing like 6 figures a month to nothing.
Oh
Had
my
only taught
gosh.
people.
Wow.
So, I just did what a lot of people did. Well, actually, I made about 40 dozen chocolate chip cookies, did, 100 puzzles with my kids because we were thinking it was going to be 2 weeks to
Of
flatten
course.
the curve,
Yeah.
right?
2 weeks. We'll be back. Yeah.
Yeah. So
No.
2 months later, my kids who are like in there, they were in that time they were like 20 years old, 23 years old. They're like, Mom, like get with the program, get off your butt, get back to work, buy yourself a camera. We'll teach you how to do this and go do it. So literally I laugh every time I see your stack of books with your laptop on it because my first Zoom call was in my living room facing the window. I had my laptop perched on some boxes. I'm just like, I'm just going to lead a workshop
Yep.
and you just figure it out as you go. And
Yeah.
so
For sure.
that's how my digital life sort of grew. And
Yeah.
and through all of the networks that we're in, a lot of people have said, can you help me to sell to
Yeah.
businesses or to sell to not-for-profits? That's what I've done my whole life. And other people want to be able to offer their coaching or
Mhm.
courses in that environment. So it's
Mhm.
really just been the last year or so that I've been working more closely with other course creators or coaches who want to sell as well. And that's been fun, a very different aspect of my business.
Yeah, that's so great. I love, yeah. And the coffee table books are here. I'm in the kitchen. There's no reason to get fancy with this thing. I don't have a nice webcam yet. I need to get one, and a mic, but why make it hard?
Really? I
I love,
know. Oh my gosh. And you always look so great, sound so great. Like, I don't think you need a lot of fancy stuff.
thank you. That's very kind. I love how our kids just sort of, tell it like it is and push us out there.
Yeah.
I want to go back for a second because this is the question that people always want to know. Were you scared when you decided to put your family first? And because it sounds like you weren't sure exactly what you wanted to do. And what did your family say when you said you wanted to do this?
So, yes, because I mean, I was really young. I'm old now. I was really young. So, we had just bought a house. I had my 2-year-old son. I was just then got pregnant with my daughter. So
Oh,
here I
wow.
am, like they thought I was crazy. And the funny thing is, like, people in my family, like they barely can explain what I do. And I'm sure people listening here that are, especially in the online space, they're like, what do you do? Like, you're just
Right,
on Facebook all the time and you think you're going to make money. Like, they think it's
right.
crazy. Um,
Exactly.
so I think they thought I was nuts, but honestly, it didn't take long. Like, like I said, I love to work. So I worked really hard. I made some really fast connections.
Uh-huh,
By the end of about 6 months, I
uh-huh.
was pretty much making at least what I was making at the bank. And like a year later,
Nice,
I was making twice that. So I
nice.
think once they're like, okay, she's not losing her mind, like she can actually do this as a profession,
Right,
the stress level came down. But
right.
I don't think I would recommend like just going cold turkey.
Mhm.
I do see people that, I'm going to give my 2 weeks notice, I'm going to quit my job, and then I'm
Yeah,
miraculously going to be able to sell my
right.
courses. And with social media, without social media, whatever it is, it does take some time for
Mhm.
word to get out there about who you
Yeah.
are and what you're doing, and how it can be a benefit to
Mhm.
organizations. You've got to build trust. That doesn't happen instantly. And you really you gotta hustle. But it just, once you have some of those initial wins, you feel better, your family feels better, and you can just keep going.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. When they figure out, okay, we're gonna keep the lights on, everything's gonna be all right, then it's like everybody just takes a deep breath together. Tell us, when you first started out, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced, and how did you navigate through them and overcome? When we face a challenge, sometimes we just want to stop. How did you keep going and navigate through all that?
Yeah. So I think my biggest challenge when I started, same my biggest challenge now, it's how do you find people that want to buy your product?
Okay,
So people always come to me, they've got a great idea. How do I get started? No great idea is going to go anywhere if nobody wants to buy it.
correct.
So, and I hear you say, always be list building. It's funny. I wrote, when I took your course,
Uh-huh.
I wrote that on a Post-it note and I stuck it right to my computer. It says, always be list building. It's there all the time.
Nice.
So, with social media, somebody could claim that's easier. I don't think it's really easier.
Mhm.
It's I've always built my business maybe in a little bit more traditional way. Um, I've been to 80,000 networking events. I
Yeah.
join professional organizations where I know my ideal purchaser. I call them my ideal purchaser because they're not always my student. Somebody
Mhm.
else buys my product for their employees to attend. So
Right.
I try to find kind of where are the places where my ideal purchasers are, like human resources organizations, training organizations. I do a lot of volunteer work for them and for my community, because I like to, but also because you tend to interact with other business people
Yeah.
there.
Right.
And so you're just always putting yourself out there. And for me, it's super hard because I am not an extroverted person. I would much rather sit here in my cozy little office, just developing content all day long.
Yeah.
So the thought of going to like a luncheon
Mhm.
or a cocktail thing is like painful. But, you just kind of push your way through it. And
Mhm.
so once you kind of are really confident in what you do and you try to be a little bit worldly about what's going on in today's world, it's easier to get into those places so you could make some small talk. You could
Mhm.
explain what you do very confidently. Like, I love the way you always start your live events, your recorded events, telling them exactly what you do and who you help and who you serve. And I'm like, oh, I've been doing this for so long and I still stumble through, like, what is it that I do? But you just got to push your way out there, whether it's in an in-person kind of event or a virtual event or just putting
Mhm.
yourself out on social media.
Yep.
Just just do it. And I'll tell you, people, so I've never used social media until like the last couple of years.
Mhm.
And my first, posts were all like super professional and buttoned up and whatever. And like
Mhm.
nobody cared about them. Nobody liked them. Nobody commented on them. And then I started posting pictures of like, I just rolled out of bed, my hair is all over, and I'm like walking on the bike path and I get like 400 comments. I'm like, what the heck? Like, this is
I
what you
know.
really want?
I know.
So, you just got to put yourself out there and then you'll start to make those contacts. But you have to be really consistent in doing that because
Mhm.
you might get a big deal or you launch your course and now I have, 50 students.
Mhm.
And then when it ends, it ends.
Yeah.
So you can't stop. You've got to constantly think about marketing and promoting your business so you get that kind of steady stream of customers forever.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Coming from corporate, as you did, with over 20 years in marketing, sales, and business growth, the minute we took our foot off the gas of the outreach and the conversations and the luncheons and the coffee chats and the networking was when the sales declined. And so it's like, um, for a while, I felt like I was in feast or famine mode, and it was because I wasn't keeping my foot on the gas. But once I figured out that I needed to, then I was the person that I was networking all the way through Q4 when other people were like, "It's the holidays, I'm going to take a break," and I'm like, "Well,
Right.
your
Nope.
Q1 is going to stink if you take your foot off the gas November 1st and you don't pick anything back up in your business until the middle of January." Your Q1 and part of your Q2 are going to stink.
Yeah.
You've got
Yeah.
to run all the way through the tape
Yeah.
every
And
day.
even if you're selling to consumers, there's tons of people that live in your neighborhood,
Yeah.
whether you get involved in a church group or there's tons of like women's organizations now in every community,
Yes.
or you could find them virtually. Like just get out and meet real humans rather than kind of hiding behind a camera and a post all the time.
Yeah.
And just do that on a regular basis and you'll see your business grows.
Love it. Tell us some things that completely surprised you along the way, either bad surprise or surprise and delight surprise.
Well, like doing this for 2 decades, I think I have seen pretty much everything you can imagine, right? So
You need to write a book.
it- I don't know if I could do that. I'm not patient enough to do that. But actually, I did write a book back in 2015. It's called The Collaboration Breakthrough. It's about creating a collaborative workplace. But I had a lot of help because I couldn't do the whole thing myself. So, but surprises, like I never thought I could write a book, but I did, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I lived through the economic crash of 2008, 2009. I
Yeah.
lived through a pandemic.
Yep.
I've launched products. I've retired products. I've had two terrible business partners that we don't have to go down that path. But,
Wow.
I've worked for some of the largest companies in different countries and sat across the table from CEOs. Like every day I'm surprised by something. And
Yeah.
you're right. Sometimes they're really good surprises. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have this opportunity. And other times it's like, what happened? Like what went wrong or what did I do? And
Right.
I think entrepreneurship is really just a lesson in resilience. Like every day, you are the tree standing tall against the wind, and it is going to blow. Sometimes it's going to be a really nice breeze, and sometimes it is going to be a hurricane and it's trying to knock you down. But you have to have faith in yourself. You are a smart person, or you wouldn't be watching this. The smart people are the ones saying, like, how do I learn? How do I figure out if I want to start my own business? How do I grow my business? How do I be better at what I'm doing? So
Right.
if you're listening to this, you're a smart person. You probably can solve like any problem that's out there.
Yeah.
And if you don't, the beautiful thing about, Tracy, your programs and others is that if you don't know the answer to something, there is always someone who's willing to help. And maybe that's been like the biggest surprise is stuff happens every day.
Oh,
The
yeah.
biggest surprise to me has been there are so many amazing people in the world, like far beyond my little Buffalo, New York community,
Right.
that are willing to help you
Yes.
and just are such a pleasure to get to know.
Yeah, that's what I love about my free Facebook group, and you're a part of it. For those that are not a part of it, it's called Be a Confident Entrepreneur, Get Visible and Grow Your Income. But just like Amy's saying, this, you guys hear me say this every week, being an entrepreneur is freaking hard. It's a roller coaster, but you have to be resilient. And because you got to be consistent and patient with your work to get where you want to go. Well, the consistency and the patience the wheels can fall off the bus of that if the wind is blowing too hard in our business. Like you're saying, it's like, I don't think I can stand up again today. But then you've got to be resilient. But the way that you do that is like Amy's saying, you surround yourself with people that are doing the same thing you're doing, because she's exactly right. I don't know everything. There's not a coach in any category on any part of the planet that knows everything about everything. That I don't know every single thing about business and sales. I'm marketing and sales and business development and visibility and email list growth, but I'm not tech and I'm not accounting and I'm not legal, but I know people that are. And so I love that you said that, because it's so, so true. That connection and community is really what can make us successful. Okay, let me ask you this. What do you wish you had known before you started this online business, before you quit your corporate job? Like, was there anything where do you have a memory of going, okay, would have been nice to know that?
Um, yes, probably. Funny because there's like a Facebook user who I don't know what your name is, but it says, what's your web camera? It looks great.
Yeah,
Okay.
tell us what kind
So
of web camera you have.
interestingly, one of the things I wish I knew is more about like the technology,
Me too.
because it does slow you down a lot. And I'm the kind of person that I like to really understand things. Like,
Me
I
too.
know a lot of people say, just hire people to do everything. But, I think you've got to have some level of understanding.
Yeah, you do.
Number one, to protect yourself, to think more
Yeah,
strategically about your business, to make sure you're not taken advantage of. I think you need to have some sort of clue.
right.
So to answer the question directly, I'm using an iMac, which was a big leap for me because I'm a corporate girl. So I was a PC user
Yeah.
forever. And everybody in this space said, oh no, you got to use a Mac because it's the greatest thing.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you. I don't know if it's a lot better than my PC. I use both now because I'm
Right.
a creature of habit, but I'm
Yeah.
just using the iMac camera. I honestly think the difference is lighting and microphone. Like
Got
even a not so great, like really your phone today is a great camera. Anything you
Yeah.
buy is a
Yeah.
great camera.
Yeah.
So I use I have two Elgato mini lights, which I wish I had them here. I used them to replace these
Uh-huh.
workshop lamps that my husband had hanging in the basement. That's what I had shining at me for like 3 years, except my vision was like, I couldn't see. So I got these little bit fancier lights this year. And my kids for Christmas bought me this pink Shure microphone, which
Nice.
was ridiculously overpriced. It was very nice because prior to that, I used this $20 wired clip-on from Amazon. So, like, don't get all caught up in the tech. You don't have to have the latest and greatest things. Like,
So
use what you have, make it bright and shiny, make sure your
nice.
sound is good, and I think it kind of works out. But
Nice.
I think the things that I really wish I knew before I started is number one, be really clear and concise about what you do and who you do it for.
Yes.
When I first started, I'm in the HR space. So we
Mhm.
were doing everything from
Mhm.
training to recruiting to coaching to writing employee handbooks to designing comp programs
Mhm.
to I don't even know what else. Like anything you can imagine. We're like, if you need it, we got it, which is
Mhm.
really tempting to do, especially when you're just starting out because you're trying to figure out like,
Yes.
gosh, I have to feed my family. I don't want to
Right.
be tossed under a bridge. So
Right.
I'm just going to do anything that comes along. The problem with that is number one, you run a very inefficient business because you're
Right.
constantly building things and starting and stopping. You don't get any traction, so you can't really scale.
Mhm.
And you don't really establish a reputation for anything. So
Right.
I call it my day job. People know me as the assessment person. If they
Yeah.
want to do DISC, they call Amy. If they want to
Right.
get certified in assessment, they call Amy. If they want to do 360-degree feedback for their company and they want to customize, they call Amy.
Right.
And the funny thing is like watching like some of these Facebook groups now, I love it when someone's like, oh, you want to sell to businesses? Like, here's Amy Pearl. You got to contact Amy Pearl because she knows what to do.
Yeah.
So I think it's when you get really clear on what you do, you can explain it so much better. People get to know you because of that. And
Right.
then miraculously, like the business just drops out of the sky
Yes.
because people know what you do. And so you just go and go and go and go. And then I think the second thing that I wish I knew before I started, I guess I knew, but I didn't really pay attention to it, is, you have many, 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 many years to run a business, but your kids are only going to be like living under your roof for a short time.
Yeah.
And, your parents might be getting older and your friends are out there. And, there came a time where I knew I was prioritizing my business over all those people in my life.
Me too.
And then I kind of tried to make I don't do it very well. They'll tell you I don't do it very well. But, I think if you keep thinking about what's really important to me, I want to be a good wife. I want to be a good mom. I want to be a good daughter. I want to be a good friend.
Yeah.
The business, like I can do that anytime.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. No, I'm much like you. I love to work. I love what I do. and I said this yesterday in an interview. If I was not married and didn't have kids, I probably would be working 24/7, 365 because I do love it. And so when I decided I wanted to build this and leave corporate, that was one of my husband's main concerns was I know you and I know your personality and we're never going to see you again. And I was like, no, 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 no. And I had to promise him that this
Right.
would not take over our lives. And I'm glad that I have him to make sure that I don't, because left to my own devices, y'all might, I mean, I might, who knows? I might be at work until 3 a.m. Oh my goodness. This is
I know. And there have been many, 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 many nights I would put my kids to bed and then I'd hop back on my computer. And I like to work too. Like even people say, like, why do you work so much? It's because like I love it.
I
I
love
love
it.
what I do. I love my customers. I love talking to people like you. So
Yep.
why wouldn't I want to do this? I feel bad for people who the reason they don't want to work is because they don't love what they do or they don't
Yeah.
love where they're working. Not that
Right.
you have to be an entrepreneur, but you should find a place where you can
Mhm.
feel like I want to go to work, not that I
Right.
have to go to work. And
Right.
we just like the entrepreneurial lifestyle is really all my family knows because I've had my own business forever. My husband's an architect, so he's had his business forever. So
Nice.
my kids kind of grew up in this, sort of
Right.
feast or famine world, but they know they have a really good work ethic now because
Mhm.
they know like money just doesn't grow on trees. Like
Yep.
if you want money, you have to go to work. You've got to do something to produce it. And
Yeah.
I remember one time my son was little and he came to me and he said, "Mom, could you pull out one of my teeth?" And I'm like, "Why? Is there something wrong with it?" He's like, "No, I need some cash." And I'm like, "No, we don't really have to do that. I could just give you like some work to do." But they sort of got this idea like there's no
So funny.
gain without some sacrifice, right? You've
Right.
got to you got to do it all.
That is so funny. And fun fact, my dad was an architect.
Oh
I
my
don't know. Yeah.
gosh.
I don't know if we ever had that conversation, but yeah, that's awesome.
Oh,
So,
that's cool.
so tell us what is on the horizon for your business in the next 3 to 6 months? Like what lights you up for 2024?
Oh my gosh. Well, my mission last year, what my big goal was that I wanted to try to work with customers just on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. That's why I
Right.
can't always make your Thursday sessions. I always like miss them. But
That's
I said,
okay.
I'm going to really try to do that so that I didn't have to work on Mondays and Fridays. And I
Same.
never thought I was going to be able to do it. And I usually do work on Mondays, but usually I do my little Facebook group live that day and
Yeah.
I work on marketing stuff. And Fridays, sometimes I work on like content creation, things I like to do, or I'll just get my nails done, something like that.
Yeah.
But I really didn't think I could do it, but I just tried to make the commitment. It didn't work every single week, but I
Right.
really did find like I can just do this. Like
Yeah.
most customers don't want to do things on Mondays. Fridays aren't always a great day, so I can do it.
Yeah.
So this year, to kind of build on that theme, we
Mhm.
are focusing on it's all about systems.
Mhm.
We're upgrading some of the systems that we use for our courses, and we're building a system that we use to replace another system that we use to
Mhm.
try to make things as efficient as possible so that we can keep gaining that efficiency and grow without spending 100 hours a week trying to work. So
Love it.
that's really the focus for this year. And
That's
I set
awesome.
my big goals and kind of break them down into month by month things and just keep chipping away at them and then get distracted and then come back and be like, okay, we got to get back on this or we're never going to move forward.
Right. I love that. I have that rule also. I found myself ping ponging during the week and not just kind of driving myself crazy. And so Mondays and Fridays are not public facing anything. I don't do hair and makeup. I don't look like this. Um, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are my public things. And there's some exceptions to that. But I love what you said because we really do need to set what our week needs to look like. Don't let your clients rule the roost on when they can see you. Nobody else in the world does that. Your CPA doesn't do it. Your hairstylist doesn't do it. Your massage therapist doesn't do it. Your doctor doesn't do it. They tell you when they're available and you pick the time, right? And so why should we be any different? So
Yes.
yeah, I love that you shared that. Thank you so much for doing this and gifting us your time. I know you've got two cool offers that you want to share with our audience, and I'm
Yes.
so excited about them. Jill has the links to both. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yes, I do. So so again, there's two sides of my business. So I have leadership development programs that I offer, and I have a program called Lead Ignited, which is actually starting next week.
Okay.
And it's ideal for someone who is managing a team of people
Uh-huh.
and wants to be the best leader they can be. So we focus on a leadership mindset. We focus on communication. How do you create a strategy for your team? How do you translate that into performance standards that you have for people? Because I know you're all perfectionists out there and you want things to be done a certain way. How
Right.
do you make sure your team is working well together and collaborating well? So
Yeah.
that's called Lead Ignited, and it starts next week. And then if you're like, no, it's just me working out of my bedroom, I don't have a team, but
Right.
I'm interested in selling B2B to
Mhm.
corporations or not-for-profits, I have a course called B2B Fabulous,
Mhm.
which really helps course creators and coaches and consultants think about, how do I get my foot in the door? How do I make those connections? How do I engage with my ideal purchaser in a way that they're going to want to buy? And then
Mhm.
how do you deliver in that sort of business environment, which is a little bit different from the consumer environment, because you're not just trying to make your participant happy and learn, but the person who's actually paying you, their employer, you've got to have
Right.
some accountability to them to drive the changes that they want to see. So it's a little
Right.
bit different. So I've got two things. You can start B2B Fabulous anytime, and Lead Ignited starts next week. And
Mhm.
if you just use the coupon code Tracy, you
Mhm.
can get 20% off the purchase price.
Nice.
I'd love to
Okay.
have you.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Thank you. That's so generous. So, you guys, the coupon code, Jill's going to throw that into the comments as well. It's capital T and then little RACY, just my first name. So, use that and get 20% off. Amy, where can everybody find you to connect with you? What's the best place to do that if they want to learn more about how to get their services being wanted, for lack of a better word, by businesses?
Yeah, you can. The easiest way to find me, if you're on Facebook, is just go. I have a Facebook group for Work Ignited. It's an actual group. So just join the group. And it's a nice mix. It's people that are working in companies in the corporate learning world and people that want to sell to businesses. I'm also on Instagram and LinkedIn and wherever else, not TikTok because I don't know how to dance. But I'm Amy A. Pearl with my middle initial on those. And I'd love to connect with people.
Love it. I love it. You guys connect with Amy. She is a wealth of information. She's been in this space as an entrepreneur for over 25 years. She knows a lot of stuff. And just have a coffee chat with her, network with her, and see how you guys could mutually benefit each other. That just would make my heart so happy. My friends, if you are loving this content, save it into your favorites, create your own library of awesome videos. YouTubers, smash the subscribe button, or just come into my free Facebook group. We have over 2,000 online entrepreneurs in my Facebook group. People just like you. It's called Be a Confident Entrepreneur. Get visible, grow your income. You can promote your offers anytime. You can post your business tips and help other members with your expertise anytime. We just had a student that was having trouble with, I think it was Teachable or Thinkific, and somebody that was in my community was able to help. That's what I love about it. And you can network with the other members in the group, just like Amy. Set a coffee chat. Figure out, what can you learn from each other? How can you help each other? That is the best way to grow on this online platform. It's called Be a Confident Entrepreneur, Get Visible, and Grow Your Income. And be here live with me every Thursday at 11:30. Put it on your planner, carve it out, set a phone alarm, because we're bringing you great content, either just me solo, or we bring you entrepreneurial inspiration interviews just like this one with people like Amy. We also bring in guest experts that have something to teach you. And so you just never know what we're going to do. One thing I want you to remember every single day that you're in this roller coaster is don't go it alone. Being an entrepreneur is freaking hard. You hear me say this every week. Some days everybody wants to buy what you're selling, and other days nobody can remember your name. And if you feel like you are alone in that feeling, you're not. It doesn't matter if you're just starting out or you're 25 years in. We all feel that way, but don't try to be alone in this. Like Amy and I talked about in this interview, find a community of collaboration and support, people that are doing exactly what you're doing, so that when you're feeling like that, you've got people that can shore you up. I want you to have a great balance of the week and weekend. And remember, when one of us rises, we all rise. So we have got to keep cheering each other on. And Amy, thank you again so much for gifting us your time and being here. If you guys want to connect with Amy, just comment. If you've got a question for her or for me, if you're coming on replay, just comment. We will swoop in and answer it. All right, my friends, I'll see you next week.
Bye.